What's up, Klamath Falls? Let's make it loud. A big rooster's crowing, drawing a crowd.
Hey, what's up, Klamath Falls? This is Mike.
What's up, Klamath Falls? This is Dave.
What's up, Klamath Falls? This is Klamath Irrigation District.
There you go.
Yeah.
That narrowed it down in a hurry.
Yes.
Well, we got Souza, Dave Hammel, and Rodney Cheyne with us today. Gentlemen, thank you for coming out.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you for what you do for our farms, ranches. We appreciate all of that. And you just got back from a whirlwind trip to D.C., right?
We did. You want to do introductions and kind of let us know or let everybody know who we are?
Absolutely. I'll let you.
All right. So, Souza, I'm the executive director of Klamath Irrigation District. I've been in position now. These gentlemen hired me about 7 years ago, and I do the responsibilities and have the responsibilities of making sure that your district, Klamath Irrigation District, is run efficiently as possible, and that we're delivering our legal and contractual obligations. To my left is Rodney Cheyne.
Yeah, I'm Rodney Cheyne. I'm fifth generation farmer in the Klamath Basin. Me and my wife Michelle are raising the sixth. Family moved here in 1909 when the infancy of the project. We farm hay, grain, and have a herd of registered Angus cattle. Let's see, I'm on several other boards too, I guess. I'm not only president of KID currently, I'm on Klamath Basin Improvement District. I'm on Klamath Water Users Association. I'm Klamath County President of Oregon Wheat Growers League. Oversee some of the stuff with the OSU Extension Service and the field trials. Henley Advisory Board. I mean, the list goes on and on. Try to stay involved and hopefully moving the community in a positive direction. I
What
hope.
do you do in your free time?
I try to farm. I try to farm around. You know, it's pretty slow by jerks around my operation, but we try to make it work.
Fair enough.
And to my right is Dave Hammel.
Yeah, Dave Hammel. Hi. Yeah, I'm fifth generation farmer. Also, only second generation in the basin. My family moved here mid '70s, I guess, when I was in high school and started farming up here. And we came from the Sacramento Valley. Did a lot of farming down there for a long time. And, I've been on the Klamath Irrigation Board of Directors here, I guess, for about 8 years now. I'm currently vice president right now. My family and I, we are raising the sixth generation too. My son is actively farming with me. He's been actively farming for about 20 years now in the basin here, trying to get along pretty good. So we've also, you know, as supplementing our farming income, we had trucking business here in Klamath for about 35 years. And we did a lot of trucking, a lot of agricultural products, a lot of lumber products, did a lot for Columbia plywood in those areas. So we've been around the basin for a long time, and just trying to hopefully help out, do positive things for the basin, also here, our community we live in. So.
Good deal. Thank you guys for your dedication to that. I mean, it's, to me, if you've heard it on the show before, but you guys are the backbone of the community. You know, we've got the base, we've got college and all that, but without ag, I don't know that we have a whole lot of others that's going to remain. So it's important.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, how was DC?
Well, it was much warmer than we anticipated. I anticipated to be back there with some wind and some rain and a bunch of snow and ice and be slipping around. So I was glad to be back there with 50-degree weather. And we got to walk around a lot of halls of Congress. We got to walk around a number of agencies, and some of us actually got to spend a few minutes enjoying some of the sights.
Good.
So we went back to D.C. This is our second trip that we went back to D.C. in the past 6 months. We went back in June of 2025, and this was a follow-up that we'd actually scheduled for August of last year, but because of the government shutdown, because the Congress and Senate isn't confirming a number of folks on the Trump administration, trying to get our appointments and our time in with the Trump administration to get our story told, to establish those communications and establish those connections. It's been a real struggle for the past 6 months to actually get back there, and we almost canceled this trip because one of the key individuals we wanted to go see wasn't going to be there, but I think we had a positive outcome from this trip.
Yeah, absolutely. It was we had a good trip in June, but this one was far better. we're meeting with more people. I think we're meeting with the correct people. It's crazy when you go meet with one group in the morning, and by noon when you're going to meet with somebody across town, they already know you're coming. They already hear you're there. The buzz is alive, and I mean, I think it helps. At least I hope it does. But it seems to be we're getting to keep meeting with key people back there. So,
And how is this administration compared to the previous as far as working with you guys?
Well, this is my first trip to DC. I wasn't able to go in June. Our hay-in schedule wasn't going to allow it, so this is my first time I was back there. I felt like we had a lot of great meetings and I was impressed with how people were really willing to help and actually taking notes and wanting to, get us some more information, and we'll let you know kind of what, kind of work through this and keep in touch, weekly, bi-weekly meetings they wanted to have. And I think the Trump administration has changed a lot of the core people back there that are maybe not liking it, and and I think that they're more leaning and being forced to lean more in a more positive direction for the farmers. So I think I seen that several times. The guy was like, "Man, I really don't want to be in this meeting, but I got to be here," and I think it was real positive, and I think he's doing a great thing for the farmers in this country. So.
Well, good to hear.
to expound on what Dave's saying, yeah, this was my third trip back there. I went once 3 years ago, going on 4 years ago with Klamath water users under the Biden administration, and you would go to Interior, you would go to NOAA or any of these agencies. What they were having the meeting, but they were literally just sitting there. They were just looking at you. They weren't engaging. They weren't taking notes. They didn't have to talk to us. Their guidance back there, they were doing what they were told to do. Everything was just going swimmingly. The farmers were shut down. Dam removal was moving forward. They were right where they wanted to be. So they took the meeting, but the change from June, from 3 years ago to June, and then now, January, now those agencies that didn't want to talk to us or didn't have to talk to us or answer any questions or say anything now actually have to engage in conversation. And with the administration change and the new guidance, they do have to take notice and they do have to pay attention to what we're saying and the problems. And it's helped us a lot, I think. Agriculture is seen in a completely different light than it was just 2-3 short years ago.
Yeah, and so as KID is a formal group, going back there again, our formal trips have only been twice, but I took an informal trip personally. I went back to DC in 23 under the Biden administration, and I had a great time going to the halls of Congress and talking to our representatives and our senators, and we had really good discussions. It was ad hoc. I didn't have any meeting scheduled. I just showed up on their door, knocked on their door, and Congressman Bentz opened up his door, gave me an hour and a half of his time, unscheduled, gave me one of his staffers, gave me a complete tour of the Capitol building. And it was an amazing time to go through those halls. But in 23, under the Biden administration, I continued to walk down the street and knock on doors at Agriculture, at Interior, at other places along Pennsylvania Avenue, and doors were shut. Attempting to go in there and just offer a little coin. I've shared with you guys our challenge coin. I actually developed those for my little trip, in my personal trip in 23. And I was handing those out left and right, and I couldn't even get into the door to have anybody even accept a gift from me.
We got leftover coins.
I'm happy to have one. However it worked out. Yeah.
The coins are a big hit. It's everybody, whether they're left, right, whatever, they tend to really like them. It's a conversation piece. There's a purpose. There's a meaning behind it. There's a reason for it, and I think it tells our story in one little trinket so well that it's great. It's great.
So you can see these are the coins they're referring to. The strongest steel is forged in the fire of a dumpster. And on the opposite side, it's Klamath Basin, destroying the Klamath Basin agriculture community since 1933. So, kind of comical, fairly honest though.
Yeah, and so we, like, again, little trinkets, something you can leave behind at people will remember. You know, you can leave things behind, a packet of papers, you can leave some pens behind, you can leave some hats behind. But that's, if you go in most of your congressional offices and most of your folks, they understand the military challenge coin, and they have a display case of all the different coins that people have presented to them. And so this is something when they walk in their office or they're sitting at their desk, if they glance up and look at it, they're going to remember Klamath Irrigation District was there.
Right, right. No, it's a brilliant idea because it stands out. Nobody else, I'm sure, is doing something like that. So.
Not yet.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we talked about while we were in DC is title transfer. And so one of the things that was promised to Rodney's family and over 700 other families in the Klamath Basin back in 1905 was when the reclamation project was complete and the farmers and ranchers repaid all of the debt that was associated with expanding the infrastructure, because there was already a bunch of infrastructure already here. Farmers had donated a number of lands, had donated a bunch of private infrastructure to make this thing work. And the agreement on paper and the agreement in everybody's mind was once we pay everything off to the federal government, to the American taxpayer, the federal government will then return title to the district. And so what that means is we have local control of how our infrastructure is operated, how we modernize it, how we maintain it. And it took a very long time for us to even get a contract with the Bureau of Reclamation to allow us to even take on the responsibility to operate and maintain it. So from 1905 through 1954, Reclamation operated it, and we worked for almost 30 years to get a contract to say, no, we're going to take over ownership. We've almost got it paid off. Transition it to us now so we can start operating and maintain it before we're completely paid off. And in 10 years or so, we're going to make the final payment, give us title. And so, Rodney, if you want to talk a little bit about your family with that.
Yeah, that was one of the key issues why my family moved down here and eventually purchased in 1909 was because it was, you know, the Everglades of the West. There's water abound. I mean, you could never. There's opportunity galore. We need you to farm it. You know, we need food and fiber for a growing nation and, you know, growing world, and so that's why my family was lured to come down here. And there was, my great grandfather was on some of the crews building stuff. For example, like the cement flume that has now been replaced by siphon pipe. There's pictures of him actually helping pour footings. So the early farmers actually worked hand in hand with reclamation folks to get this all done. And like Gene said, there was ground donated to make it happen. And now here we are, paid it off in 65. Now we fast forward to 2026. Here we're trying to do something that should have been done in 1965. And obviously, America is a far different place in 2026 than it was in 1965. So I'm sure there's reasons for that, but
Yeah.
we can only surmise at this point, I guess. But I think it just goes to show the direction of where the Department of Interior is, you know, or is now. I think they were a lot more friendly, a lot more ag-based, a lot more forgiving for the farmers. And now we fast forward with the Endangered Species Act and all the stuff we're under now. That's not the case. So probably looked a lot different in 65.
So just for the average person, right? Imagine you entered into a contract to have a loan for your house, right? You go to the mortgage company, you sign a contract, you enter in a repayment contract, and you meet all your obligations. You make your final payment. The expectation is the mortgage company gives you your deed, right? You walk away with that, and then you can modify the house however you want to. You can modify the insurance however you want to. You don't have to be threatened that the mortgage company is going to come and take the keys and change the locks at any time. You're not going to get administrative fees from the mortgage company telling you, oh, we don't like your painting, so you need to go paint your house to keep insurance on it, right? So that's what title transfer is to us, is we've paid off our house. We are currently operating it. We're currently maintaining it. We're keeping everything in good working order, actually in better working order than when we had it delivered to us in 1954. And the federal government is just refusing to give up the deed, even though our contract says everything's supposed to be vested with the farmers and ranchers here in the basin.
Can you imagine if the roles were reversed? You had that, and you owed the government the deed. I mean, like that. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Yep, we've been doing their platinum plated maintenance plan since 1954. We've been doing everything and then some that we were supposed to do on our side, but don't
Yeah.
really feel that it's being reciprocated very little, if at all.
Well, did you feel like progress was made on this trip?
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
Absolutely
Good.
did. We got a lot more people on board and understanding the what, the how, the when, the where, the why, and so much of the people we met with did remember us from June, and we just picked right up kind of where we left off, and I do feel like there's an understanding as to why we want to do this or why we would want to do this, and I think it's important to note there seems to be a paradigm throughout the basin that we're under some government umbrella. You know, if something catastrophic would happen, well, we at KID are not. So if there's something catastrophic happens to any of the infrastructure within the basin, it's on us. It's on the irrigators. It's on the farmers and ranchers to pay this. Uncle Sam is not coming in with a blank checkbook to help us. It is all on us. So since it is all on us, we would like to be the ones
Right.
maintaining it and doing it the way that we can do it.
And, for example, we've got folks that are wanting to put bridges across or build homes, develop some of their lands. And to be able to do that, they need to cross some of our canals. Now, Klamath Irrigation District, the infrastructure should be vested with us. We should be the ones that say, okay, this is what you need to do to put that bridge in or maintain that bridge. This is the agreement that we're going to have about crossing our infrastructure. If it breaks, here's your requirement for your permit. But that's not how it is. The folks have to go to the Bureau of Reclamation, have to fill out a very long form to evaluate what they want to do with their own property. The Bureau of Reclamation then goes into a process to determine if they need to go through the NEPA and cultural process, which is a 1 to 2 year long process and evaluation to determine if they can actually put a bridge on a piece of dirt that's already been turned over. And then depending on how the Bureau of Reclamation wants to approach it, under the Biden administration, that's $35,000 for a permit, or under the Trump administration, it might be a categorical exclusion. What the next administration has for us in waiting, we don't know. We'd like to eliminate that process, bring that in-house, give us local control. Klamath Irrigation District could probably be in the process of issuing a permit in hours, if not a week, instead of 1 or 2 years.
Wow.
35,000 for the permit.
Correct.
Let alone they're going to want a bridge like a concrete overpass or
Correct.
It's
Yeah,
Which is
all the
something way more extravagant than what's needed.
$200,000.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
so. Gene's made it. I love this. It's platinum plated is what we call it because everything they want done is the Rolls Royce of projects when you could literally get by with a shovel. But they got to go through all these hoops and stuff to get it. It's crazy. It's not. We could operate the project so much for so much less money than we're doing now. It'd save everybody money in the long run. It's mind boggling.
So where is it at now, and what's the next phase?
So we requested for title in June of 2021. It's been 4.5 years. We are in phase, I want to call it 2.1. So the first step is for us to send a letter saying we want title transfer. The next step is for reclamation and this is still part of step 1. The next part is 1.5 is reclamation acknowledges within 2 weeks that we have sent them a letter for title transfer. It took us 6 months to get that 2-week letter. Following that, there's a process of actually us sitting down with reclamation and going through what they've determined to be a spreadsheet that's not required by law, but that they've determined as a regulation that they've put in place for themselves. It's a multi-page spreadsheet asking all the different people that are going to be impacted by this particular activity. And we have, next week, I'm going to be going into my 7th iteration of formatting that document. What was supposed to be happening and what we'd asked for by the end of 2022 was an MOU with the Commissioner of Reclamation saying, this is what the process is, this is how we're going to take care of it, and this is what it's going to cost the farmers and ranchers administratively to do all this paperwork. We anticipated that by December of 22. Now we're in January of 26, and we still don't even have the spreadsheet that we started back in 22 completed yet.
Did this trip, you think, help light a fire to get that a little moving along a little better?
Well, we're using multiple tools. So one thing that Congress did in 2018 is they passed a Dingle Act. Before then, Reclamation had given us an excuse that we needed an act of Congress, legislation in Congress, before they could actually transfer title to us. And so that was a process and a very, very long history, but it didn't occur. So when Congress passed the Dingle Act in 2018 and went into law in 2019, that opened the door, and it said the Reclamation shall, SHALL, do these things to transfer this to folks that have already paid off their debts, and that they'll do it in the most expedient manner as possible, implying that categorical exclusions will be allowed. Over the past 4 years, we've had discussions about how much Klamath Irrigation District's farmers are going to have to pay for an environmental impact statement, which could take 3 to 4 years to develop. So in our trips to DC, we talked specifically about Dingle Act and how we can get back under Loper Bright to the intent of Congress and not under Reclamation's what they call directives and standards that have added a bunch more complicity and problems in red tape in how that process moves forward. We're also looking at working with our legislative and elected leaders since Reclamation can't tell us if we're even eligible for the Dingle Act 4.5 years after we've asked for it, we're moving down the road of legislation, which means working with Congressman Bentz. We were working with Congressman LaMalfa, rest his soul. We've been having discussions with our senators and others about how we can get legislation introduced to accomplish this exact same thing that Congress has already authorized us to do. And we're also asking the Secretary of Interior, minus legislation, is there any authority under the Secretary of Interior that the Secretary could leverage to speed this process along or get us into a better place and to change the dynamic. We mentioned ESA earlier, but to change the dynamic here in the Klamath Basin, do something different than we've done for the last 30 years.
Is there hope this can get accomplished before the end of this administration?
There's hope.
Good.
There's hope.
Good.
That would be hopefully the plan, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I would think that would be key when you have a friendly administration. And
Absolutely, that's what we're trying to work, our time's clicking away really fast, already down a year, we seem like we really need to, that's why we made these extra trips to DC to try to help push this along with a more favorable administration.
yeah.
Yeah, the biggest thing we're waiting on now and trying to push, I guess it's appropriate, is we really don't know who's on first with the finances. We paid everything off. We got all this. Gene has all the documentations of paying it off in 1965. Then we have all this. We've been paying all the maintenance fees to Bureau. Well, not maintenance fees, ain't the right
The
term.
O&M, yeah.
O&M, yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
O&M.
Since 1965, so we don't know whether we got a credit or we don't know whether we have a debit. Now the Bureau of Reclamation, Department of Interior, they've arbitrarily just decided to spend 23 or 26 million a year in ESA compliance somewhere in there.
About that, yeah.
So they want to charge it to us. Well, there's no MOUs. There's nothing saying that we have to pay that back. We didn't agree to it. We didn't sign on to it. But here you go. You guys got to fix. So that's part of the next step to get to 2.2 is figuring out, is there a credit or is there a debit? Do we owe or is there a bill? But we've never received a bill. We've paid everything in full and on time that we've ever been billed.
Well, that's how they get you.
Yeah, but they seem to think that we still owe them all this money and there could be this problem. Well, we're sure not seeing it, so that we got to get to the bottom of that, which is seems to be a fairly big hurdle.
Yeah, so the original contract debt, again, a lot of the lands were donated back in 1905. They did everything they could to reduce the amount of cost it was going to be for, at least for the KID piece of this. And so when the last payment was made in 1965, there was a decision about which direction to go. And actually for another 30 years, or that's exaggeration, 20 years, the district actually worked on trying to get the remainder of the infrastructure that we weren't currently operating and maintaining, such as what they call the reserve works, which is Lost River Diversion Channel, Wilson Dam, Gerber Dam, Clear Lake Dam. Those things were also supposed to be transferred to the districts to make the title transfer process much easier. Well, that fizzled out in the late 70s, early 80s. So it's a long, complicated, and very interesting story. But getting back on track for how we look at the debt is everything was paid off, but for KID's portion of it, in 1965. The remainder of the project, I've got documents going back into the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. They have a what is called as a SPCCR project credit and debt, basically accounting sheet. And for years and years and years, our balance for Klamath Irrigation District was zero. And in 2010, they issued one, and it said that overall the project had about a $21 million credit, meaning that there was more money in the accounts than what was owed on the project. And a lot of that money was under what was known as TID, Tule Lake Irrigation District, lease lands revenue that are coming in. Well, there was some kerfluffle, and by June of 2010, that number had reduced from 21 million down to about 18 million or 17 million, somewhere in there. And then the accounting goes cold. According to our contract, we're supposed to receive routine updates on accounting. We're supposed to receive routine bills on what is due. And we haven't received a bill of this nature since 2010. So if we're supposed to get annual accounting, how can they now retrograde and say you owe $20 million for a fish screen, you owe a portion of $32 million a year for ESA costs in the Shasta Valley and the Scott Valley and the upper watershed? How do we account for that?
Well, that's go ahead.
I was just going to say, and no, it sounds like a timeshare gone way bad. I mean, it's not funny, but it is. I mean, it's you're paying into this, and oh yeah, there's credit, but how to get that back is
You can't access it.
no. And now you,
It's kind of like when you want to pay off a credit card, and they always find an extra fee
Right.
Yes.
or something
Right.
to throw on there. They just won't let it
They
go.
won't let it go.
Yeah, that's sad.
So-
That's sad.
the whole basin is one thing. I'm not talking about separate dams and all that, but how many other water districts or places are affected? You know, outside of the state, or we can't be the only ones that are going through this.
Oh no.
We're not, and there are people that we didn't realize were going to have a situation that is worse than us. You want to talk about the Montana team?
Yeah, we've just recently got introduced to a man in Montana who's part of what they call the Camas Irrigation District, which is a subsection of the Flathead Irrigation Lake, and all the districts there. And the Montana State Legislature some years back have voted to transfer that federal project, just like ours, over to the Indian tribes. So now it's the Bureau of Indian Affairs now runs those irrigation districts. And we thought we had roadblocks with the Bureau of Reclamation. These poor fellas with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, they pay, this district pays like $500,000 in O&M, but there's no maintenance team. There's no maintenance done. There's nobody fixing head gates. There's nothing happening. Well, trying to pierce the armor of the BIA to get anything done, their finding is even far more difficult than the Bureau of Reclamation, believe it or not. So I was blown away to hear some of this story. And there's 16 irrigation districts, I believe it is, that are run by Bureau of Indian Affairs that have got transferred out of reclamation hands. That just kind of blew my mind. Actually, when I heard that, I was like, my word.
And they were under a similar agreement to what you
Yeah,
guys had,
same-
where
same
when all the
idea.
work was done and it was
Yep.
paid, they were.
So they're sitting there in this Montana off at Flathead Irrigation District, where there was no contract. At least we have a contract with the Bureau. A lot of times they don't abide by it or even allude to it, like what Gene was talking about. We're supposed to get an accounting every year of our situation, but they don't even have a contract. They don't have nobody to complain to. So they are trying to get back underneath the Bureau and back, from the Indian Affairs back over to the Bureau of Reclamation. I'm just like, you guys are jumping from the frying pan into the fire, but they looks like the lesser of the two evils. I guess at least maybe they'd have some kind of a leg to stand on. It's
Yeah.
like Rodney says, amazing that there's people out there
And so
worse than us, So
and so we're
Yeah.
we're expanding our network. We're looking at other folks across the Northwest and the Western states that have either gone through this process. 46 irrigation districts have already got title transfer. Owyhee up here in northeastern Oregon applied for title transfer, I want to say in 2022, so a year after we did, and they're in their final steps of having their MOU. It's been through Congress. Congress has not objected to it, and they're about to get title in hand here very shortly. I think Yakima is also in a similar situation. Multi-state, Oregon and Washington, they're looking at a similar issue up in there. We're reaching out and trying to see who else is in this boat with us. And next time we go back to DC, maybe we'll grab some of them and tell our story a little bit bigger.
Bring a coalition. of
Yeah,
sorts.
that's what we're actually trying to do, because we get steamrolled by the Colorado River issue because it's such a big issue.
Yeah.
And understandably so. I mean, yes, this is our issue. It's important to us every day, but I mean, who's the elephant in the room? Well, that's the Colorado River. So if we could get everybody else that ain't Colorado River to have a voice, I think it would really help the Western United States for sure.
I've said it to Gene many times before, and it's worth reiterating. I like to eat.
Yes.
And I do not understand politicians that want to hold up the people that provide our food. It just blows my mind. Do you have allies in Salem?
There are a few.
Okay.
We do have some folks in Salem that speak up for us. Of course, our local representatives, Klamath Irrigation District. We've had 3 representatives in my 7 years here because we split lines with the redistricting of Oregon. Of course, E. Warner has always been, at least since I've been here, our southern representative. But we went in between Vicki Breeze Iverson and Emily McIntyre on how things are being redistricted across the Oregon as far as who our other representative on the northern side of Klamath Irrigation District is. And among those folks, those are very loud voices in Salem. They come here and talk with us often, try to understand what our issues are. But Oregon State legislators are in a bind as well. It's it's a mess.
I think it's important to note too that our water rights, me and Dave's water rights, the water rights that Gene maintains and upholds every day, are state water rights. And who's not helping us? Oregon Water Resources Department. They are exit stage left and nowhere to be found to help us in any way, shape, manner, or form. They have had 135% increases on fees. They've had their best available science, and trying to create critical groundwater designations and all this other stuff. They are not helping us whatsoever.
And I hate to bring politics into it, but I've got to ask the question: do you think some of that is retribution because of the voting history of Klamath area?
Wouldn't put it past it, but I could.
And if you can't answer that,
I can't answer it, but I wouldn't
Yeah,
put it past
yeah.
it at all.
I guess that is kind of a difficult.
They want to do. They want to do They really want to throw it into a one size fits all hat.
Yeah.
So there is areas in the state of Oregon that is critical groundwater areas, and in the West. So instead of making Harney and Wahi, counties over in that country on the Wahi Reservoir and Cal Valley and all those places over there, instead of looking at that as its own area, they're wanting to throw the whole state of Oregon, everybody, into that. So I mean, this one size fits all approach doesn't work. Just like Single Species Management and Endangered Species Act doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's
And then
the road to nowhere.
it's about money as well, right?
Yep.
So our federal government, through the Bureau of Reclamation, pays the state of Oregon to monitor groundwater here in the Klamath Basin and to give Reclamation a report on what's happening with groundwater here, particularly in the Klamath Project area that Reclamation is paying for. So when you have someone that's paying you for a service, you report what they want them to report. On the reports that we received from Oregon Water Resource Department, at least for the last 3 or 4 years, does not mention the lack of surface water being applied and how that analysis needs to be applied to the groundwater tables. So Oregon Water Resource Department cherry picks about 9 wells in the Klamath Project area that say we've got a depletion of our groundwater resource. But if you look at the location of these wells and you overlay a map of denied surface water from their water rights, and you see that those farmers are using their groundwater because they don't have surface water available, and you lay on top of that a layer that Oregon Water Resource Department isn't taking control of Upper Klamath Lake and allowing stored water to go downstream for an unauthorized use there's no water right for, and you add on a layer of how that certain denial of surface water also doesn't do groundwater recharge. You add all those pieces up, it tells a different picture than a very cherry-picked, narrow focus of saying Klamath farmers are depleting the groundwater here in the Klamath Basin, and you see all these cones of depression all over the place. Well, it's 9 cherry-picked locations, and they don't talk about the federal government and the state of Oregon have contributed to that problem.
We're told we need to be more efficient. We've already got a 90%, 93% efficient project before we ever started pumping water.
Right.
And now they want us to be more efficient. We've taken how many acres of ground out around the lake? We're the only ones given. And then, for example, Dave's way better at speaking on this on farm water efficiencies.
Well, sure, yeah, as on-farm water efficiency back in 21, we had to get real creative when we, didn't have any water again, and we were kind of run off a well that was really spread too thin. We had to get creative on how we could actually start better maximizing our water efficiency on our farm, and that was with this new LIPA sprinkler system that is low energy precise application sprinklers that, like on a pivot, that'll hang down between 12 to 14 inches from the ground and put a bigger droplet down and put the water right where you need it. The wind doesn't affect it. And with those things over a regular system, like over a wheel line, say whether the sprinkler is spraying in the air, kind of like your yard, where the wind blows, the water blows, I know where you want it. They're about 30% more efficient, and so we can really. That's how we survived those years, and that's how we've actually grown from there. We've just, more and more efficiency with the water is how we can, I think. Is another benefit for saving this project. I mean, if we take 30%, it probably won't be a number of 30, but it'll be close to 30% over this project-wide area. That starts talking to me a lot of water. We're talking 300,000 acre-feet of water. Now you're going to save 30% of that. I mean, you're talking 90,000 acre-feet of water possibly that you're going to be using less of and still be able to operate your farm. So that's some of the things we've been toying with and trying to get some traction on, I guess. So.
But the lost aspect of that, I would think, is there's got to be a substantial cost to go from wheel lines to a pivot.
There is. It's huge costs, and we spent a lot of money back then just so we could try to survive, and that brings us into another problem that we have here. And this, for some reason, Klamath Basin has been cherry picked by the government agencies that'll actually help equip programs that actually help on-farm production, on-farm management, and efficiencies. And for some reason, Klamath County has been cherry-picked out of the state of Oregon. Like, no, we're not going to fund this area because you guys don't have a certain water. So they're compounding, making the problem worse by not actually saying, well, hey, we can come in here and put some money in here and get your farmers more efficient. We can make this water go farther. We have more water for in the lake, more water for down the stream. Kind of works for everybody, but that seemed to be a roadblock there also that we're running into. So
good on you guys for keeping up the fight. It's just never ending. And it's been generational, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My whole life.
Huh. Well, speaking of water, though, we're not looking great this year.
I was hoping we didn't have to have that conversation. So, yeah, I mean, yesterday we had the Sucker Symposium over at Oregon Institute of Technology, and Chairman the Klamath Tribes and the Vice Chair were over there for a bit, and got to speak with the Chairman on the way out the door, and we had a brief conversation about the lack of snowpack and our concerns, both of our concerns about what that means for our future. I mean, is there a way for us to survive 2026 without going into conflict with each other? Is there a way for us to get water where the farms need it, to get crops to market, to make sure that the folks that we represent are able to keep their farms and not go into bankruptcy and all that, and at the same time not create a problem where the Klamath Tribes feel that they need to step up and take action to protect their interests. So we did have that really brief conversation. I'm hoping that leads to something more where we can discuss later this year, hopefully by the springtime, as we see what prevails with the snowpack, what we see in the lake and all the model projections. I hate to put it out on this program because we talked about before we came in here, everything's got to be positive, positive, positive.
Sorry to bring it up.
But I'll just say that we discussed in our last board meeting, things could get very dicey late August, early September with what we're seeing right now.
Who you got in the Super Bowl?
I,
We can have you on in a couple months. And,
Yeah,
we'll go over some other.
yeah, I think it's very important to note while we're in this forum. You mentioned you like to eat. That's what we're here. We're not out raping and pillaging the soil. We are trying to provide food and fiber for a growing country. But I don't know of a single person. It certainly isn't any of us. We don't want to see any species fail either.
Right.
I mean, we have tried our darndest as irrigators to actually help but it gets shed in a different light, and makes it look like it's all our fault. And I take great exception to that. There isn't anybody out here that wants to see the sucker species fail. There isn't anybody out here in the agriculture community that wants to see the salmon species fail. But by God, we're becoming the newest endangered species of all of them, and we're not getting any attention. And I think that needs to be said and out there to anybody who'll stand still long enough to listen. We are not out here to try to hurt anything. We were actually trying to help, but we get absolutely zero credit for the help that we have given. It all gets kind of detoured into a negative instead of a positive. But
And everything we're working on right now with this administration, we're looking long term. I mean, this administration, if we were short sighted, we'd say, President Trump administration, come in here and fix all of our problems, give us everything in writing, and we'll be good until 2029, and then hopefully for 8, 9, 12 years after that, we're all in a good spot. But I think we're more realistic that the pendulum does swing, and that when the pendulum does swing again, there'll be folks looking for retribution. And I think we're looking for something that is more stable for our farmers. We're looking for something that is long term, that provide everybody at least a framework of what is the future of the Klamath Basin. And our fear, or at least my fear, is that the President Trump administration, Trump 47, will want to help. They'll want to come in here and they're going to say, farmers, what do you need? I'm going to give it to you. That starts a bunch of litigation that puts us down a road that doesn't get us to a long-term solution and puts us in a worse spot than where we were at the end of the Biden administration. So that's my fear.
And it seems to me, of all the people that have an interest in water, you're the only group that gets the goalpost moved constantly on you.
we're dealing
If
with
I'm wrong, correct me.
No,
but it sure
I've
seems
said
that
this
way.
more than once. I mean, if you guys have played any board game with any small children, the game kind of changes to benefit them. They all want to win, right? That's literally how it feels like dealing with the Bureau of Reclamation. From 1 month to the next, Gene's briefing us we're going this way, and by the next meeting we've turned and went the other way. I've never seen games get changed so fast in my life. It's literally like playing Battleship, and they're able to move their boat.
Oh, that was a hit. We're going to put it over here.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen again.
Well, I'm sorry to bring up a negative subtopic there, but I know people watching are going to want to know.
And people need to know.
They need to know.
The farmers need to know that if, I think the hay and alfalfa folks, more than likely you'll get, if you're doing your standard rotations, 2 cuttings absolutely, 3 cuttings probably a good bet if you're not doing a high quality piece. But if you're growing or working on fall garlic, if you're working on onions, if you're working on potatoes, if you're working on leafy vegetables, you're probably going to need a groundwater source to finish off this year. Just the way I'm reading the tea leaves anyway. Good Lord could change everything in front of us, and I shouldn't get in front of them.
It seems like we've had atmospheric rivers north of us, south of us, but nothing coming through here really to help us out.
Yeah, it's amazing. First time in 25 years, the whole entire state of California, there's not a single piece of it under drought. I mean,
Right?
it's amazing. And then
They want there to be too.
and then here we are. Yeah, the soil moisture is great. Ground's taking it all in, but there's nothing to keep us going. There's absolutely nothing in the hills at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, really, it's more widespread, I think, because you guys mentioned it while you were in D.C.
Oh,
It wasn't the normal winter. I was in Kansas the same time you were in D.C. There was nothing there either. So it's weird.
it's very weird because like what you could see from the airplane flying over there and back. I mean, there was
Right.
no snow. You go over the Rockies into Salt Lake City. There, I mean, there's just looks like Mount McLaughlin right now. Yeah, there's
Right.
stuff on the tips, but there's nothing down below. There's no ski resorts going. There's
Wow.
nothing. I mean, the only place that encountered any snow coming back was when in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Minnesota was getting hammered, but other than
Yeah.
that, it was barren the whole way. I mean, barren meaning just like it is right out the window today. Absolutely nothing. Crazy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Bad year for it to be a ski resort guy too, I guess.
Well, again, like I said, I'm kind of run through the questions that I had, but this is your forum. I don't know if there was anything else that you wanted to get out to the folks out there.
I would say that we could always use support. If there's opportunities and people feel passionate about what we're doing, letter of support either to Klamath Irrigation District, to your local representative, to Cliff Bentz, To Bureau of Reclamation, any communication, we'd love to hear from you. Positive, negative, something we're doing right, something we're doing wrong, absolutely let us know. And we'd like to, again, when we communicate, we want to make sure that we're communicating for everybody that we represent. And we will make sure that, that folks have the opportunity and know that we're listening. And that when we go and meet with your representatives in either the state of Oregon or in DC, that they're prepared to receive that message again.
Okay. And then, so they're a great resource for, there's a lot of great resources, I should say, at the office, which is, it's KID Lane, but it's off a short road.
Correct.
And, there's a ton of literature. It's current. It keeps you up to date on what's going on, or it is,
Our website is www.klamathid.org. We'll try to be getting to a .gov here soon, but I'm going to become a nasty government agency as soon as the bureaucracy will let me have a .gov website.
right. But if you prefer to read online instead of having a paper copy, you can go online to their website, and almost all the documentation I just referred to that they have in paper at the office is also available online to read as well. So, and there's a ton of information there. So,
And we enjoy these opportunities because, I mean, I produce more papers in a day than most people read in their lifetime, I think. So I've got a vault that is very large. I've read about maybe 10% of what's in our vault. And there's all types of documents that the state archives don't have, the county doesn't have. And if you know anything about this basin, we used to be Lake County. I've got some things that Lake County doesn't even have. So we've got a number of historical documents that kind of set our foundation. And then as we look at what we also provide is assistance with various things. If you're part of the district, we can help with understanding what your water right is, understand how your water is delivered to you. We can help you with understanding legal transactions with the lands when you're trying to split up a piece of property and your point of diversion or your irrigation point is over here and you're trying to put a line and create differences between your land as you want to split it up for whatever pieces that you have. We can help you walk through that process to make sure you don't lose that water right on that other piece of land.
okay, good to know. And I've made a note. Gene is always very gracious. Anytime I pop in, almost every time you'll sit down. I don't care how busy you are, and you'll give me a half hour, 45 minutes of your time. I made a mental note the last time to bring a recorder from now on because I cannot write fast enough or nearly write down enough to cover. You are such a wealth of knowledge. I think we're very fortunate to have somebody like you representing the irrigation district and, you know, your family history and your history as well. So thank you, gentlemen, for what you do. And, yeah, you make my brain hurt sometimes. But I appreciate all the information. It's great. I have a hard time writing it down where I can actually convey it enough on the program the next time. So having you guys here is great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
So,
for having us.
sure.
We're just, to me, raising the sixth generation means something. I mean, you go to all these meetings and you talk about all this stuff, and it's from soup to nuts. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it's a long time, and I'd like to see that the sixth generation had something to inherit, but
and
on rocky ground right now.
right. And that's the thing too, is I see a lot of these with my previous job, the next generation doesn't want to. They're moving on. They're doing something else. And I hate to see it, but at the same time, it's hard to blame them because what's the future hold here, you know? So it's great if we can get the deeds transferred. I mean, that gives a tangible object for them to hang on to. So
Absolutely. And yeah, if we're just asking the bureau to actually fulfill the contract is literally what all this boils down to. It is in our contracts, but in every one that was written since 1905. We're just
stop moving the goalposts and keep it where it's at. And
do what we were told we were going to do. That's all it boils down to. This isn't a new concept or something we dreamed up in some lab somewhere. It was promised to us.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you again, gentlemen, and we'll see what the rest of the winter and spring holds water-wise, huh?
Yep, absolutely. And maybe this spring, when we get closer to knowing what the water situation looks like, we'll come back and give you an update.
You have an open door anytime.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. On that note, I think we're going to say so long. So welcome to season 3 of What's Up Klamath Falls.
What's up, Klamath Falls?
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, see, that was painless.
Huh? Yeah, that was fine.
As soon as it came out of my mouth, I apologize for the retribution question.